Hello, folks in YouTube. Welcome to another episode of Age of Wonders 3 Multiplayer Let's Play. This is Northstar. I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
As always, you can check this series out. Playlist organized oldest to newest. I'm trying to build this channel to where I can earn money from it. You can say hi if you want. Sorry, I kind of cut you off there, Joe.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and quick off-the-record question. Let me just pause the recording. Sorry, question answered. Let's get this launching. I spent a little time looking over the recording, trying to call where things go. We're going. By the way, I had been thinking if this YouTube grows too slowly, especially there is one job I think I've mentioned I might be able to do with the long COVID, and that's voice acting. Although it's not an easy thing to make it in, even without any impairment. And even though I don't think my long COVID impairments would get in the way of it, it doesn't mean I can cut it, you know? But I've been looking into that. Social Security will approve me. There are retraining programs, and maybe they could pay for the part of the cost of voice acting, coaching, and yeah, but I'm worried these bastards are gonna try and deny me SSI, but if I could get training in voice acting, I might be able to do that. Most of the job is practicing your lines over and over and over and over and over and over while you're home, which I can do. Although I might need extra time to prepare because I would, with my energy limits, I might not be able to prepare as quickly as most people. But when people get experience at it, they spend less time practicing anyway. You know, I could do 3 or 4 hours practice a day, and once you've been doing it a while, I think that's all most people do. But when you start, you're doing like 6 to 8 hours of practicing a day, which is a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Then they come in and they spend 2 or 3 hours in the studio, and they get paid the equivalent of like $100 an hour for that, like 2 or 3 hours. But they've spent, you know, all week prepping the lines, so it's actually not a very good pay rate when you're new. So, sorry, what were we saying?
Can long COVID affect your voice at all? Like, I figured that would make it
maybe with some people, not with me.
I guess if you have a particularly bad coughing fit or something. Otherwise,
well, I mean, you go to a studio; it's not live. So if I have a coughing fit, they just throw out that recording. You know.
Yeah.
If I'm having a bad day, I might have to say I'm sorry. I might not be able to get a good recording, but you don't always get a good recording on a day when you come in anyways. It might affect it somewhat in terms of coughing fits, but I've had this cough before. It's not even entirely related to long COVID. It predates. It's a pre-existing condition. Anyways, by the way, before I start some battles, I was looking at Eleanor. You've got these fertile plains outside Eleanor. You probably want to sow salt and turn barrens, so that if you know, my Tiger.
Yeah, where I'm gonna put the road.
Yeah, the one. Well, towards the towards like the Hall of the Forefathers, Flowstone Quarry, like towards the Arctic terrain.
Yeah.
You turn that.
I know.
Barrens, because I've got that fort right next door that, you know, will have a garrison.
Yeah.
And if the city comes under serious attack, I'd rush the garrison to help you. But they would benefit from barren terrain. So the only reason you'd want fertile plains is to add a lot of human units or frosting units in the area. But it's more like you'd have a lot of Tigrans, especially since someday, some of these Tigrans days someday I'll, you know, have you just permanently control when money is less tight. So Tigrans are much, much more cost-effective cannon fodder.
Yeah. Plus, the fewer fertile plains around, the harder the time the human will have invading.
Yep. Yeah. The human will have a harder time invading, and you have to do it before you build a road. You can't sow salt once there's a road, which means like this.
I'll do that on my turn.
Yeah, like this road that goes towards it's the same name, Ontuli. By the way, I had to check. I'm sorry, folks on YouTube, that for some reason it was not recording my voice at all on my last YouTube things, like as Joe's voice. Doesn't have mine. I'm talking. OBS, even I see the volume bars going up in the recording. I looked. There's a place where I minimize it. So there's volume bars in OBS, but it didn't add the audio to the file for some stupid ass reason.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's just it's the game audio and it's you talking, but it's not me.
Gee.
But yeah, these fertile plains on the road to Hauntily, eventually I'll need to plant forest when I have terraforming to replace them, to tear up the road, and then sow salt, and then build a road again if I want barrens, which I'll want for, light terrain. I was also going to eventually build a fortress, and then someday an outpost on this road, on the far side of the tomb, because that's, I think, the only tile that can have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, one of the 2 tropical tiles on the far side of the tomb. Those are the only places that can have an outpost or fort. Should do a fort first so I can sow salt in more places, but yeah, that'll eventually happen. It's gonna be fun. Re-terraforming stuff can be quite expensive in money and mana, but it's eventually worth it if it gets a city up to happiness level. You kind of have to look at what the situation is. Also, fertile plains benefit humans. We're mainly going to fight humans and goblins, so we want to avoid any fertile plains or wetlands, because goblins like wetlands, and they heal faster in wetlands on top of that. And like these wetlands to the southeast of Storone, you'll want to drain those eventually. Turn them, just sow salt under them, or forest under the ones that don't have road. Which means you need to get rid of the road at some point. It's a long-term thing. I think we're talking about...
If I sow salt on the road, does that break the road?
What?
Does someone
You can't
sow
salt under a road. You have to first replace it with a forest, then sow salt, then
Oh,
rebuild the road.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is, but it's it is what it is. How long until Storone grows?
Storone grows in 12 turns.
Ah, yeah, so you could probably have your builder double back there and build a fortress to hold terrain so that Storone's borders don't swallow it up. So you probably want a outpost in that area with the wetlands. And if you just build a fortress, you can get rid of more of these wetland tiles. Since, actually, almost anything there's not going to be any room for forest because the city outskirts will control. But you'll be able to plant one forest tile, and the rest you might as well just sow salt. Or forest and then sow salt, because otherwise you have wetlands under the city, which should be bad because there's no way to get rid of it then, short of destroying the city.
How do I do that under a fortress, though?
You can't do it under the fortress itself, but a fortress only takes 1 tile, so you either have only 1 tile wetlands, or you can eventually raise the fortress and build on a different tile if you really want. That's probably not worth it, because fortresses cost a pretty penny. But you can build a fortress there. That'll expand your domain and allow you to terraform the tiles.
Yeah.
And so all the tiles around the fortress can be turned first to forest if they're roads, and then sowed salt. You can just directly do forest in the northernmost wetlands, since that probably won't be underneath anything. Or, well, actually that you might want to build the city more there to crowd Storone rather than Valsurio. Let's see. Oh, no, because there's room for 2 cities here. There's one southeast of the Watchtower, and then one on the road. So yeah. Yeah, you'll be able to plant 1 extra forest, and it's on the road there, actually. No, 2 forests. You'll be able to plant 2 forests, and the rest will just need to be drained and salted. Anyhow. Enough of that. Folks on YouTube, let me just reorient myself. Cool. By the way, I was just admiring these wetland tiles. wetlands. I'm just checking the audio. Um, maybe cut this video relatively short and check the recording to make sure. So, only way to really know it's getting my voice is to check the recordings regularly. But these tropical wetlands are actually fairly realistic in terms of what wetlands look like from above. They did a pretty good job of, the detail there. Actually, I love the terrain this. Now I'm thinking of some guy complaining. There's this guy Swade, this YouTube channel. He plays Civilization 3. And he thinks it's better than 4. And one of his complaints about 4 is the terrain. It's like the terrain is infinitely better looking and more realistic in 4 than 3. What the heck is this guy's problem? I think it's just stupid nostalgia. You get people who, because I grew up in this game, I think it's a better game. It's like, no, it's not. My issue with Civs after 4 is the 1 unit per tile system. It's not nostalgia bullshit. In fact, in some ways, Civ 6 is better. I hate 5. I don't think 5 is better, but I think 6 is a little bit better than 4. It's just so expensive that I can't afford. It's only better if you own all the DLC, and I don't, and I can't afford that, so I stick with 4 because it's almost as good as 6. And 5, I think, was a failure. The problem with 5 is there's too little to do in the late game. There's too little content. There was too much oversimplification, which the Civ team vigorously denied. And then they turned around and added more stuff in 6 because they recognized this as an issue. They even said, oh, the late game doesn't have enough content. It's like, where were you 3 years earlier when people on the forums were saying there's not enough content in 5 and you were saying that's bullshit? And there was a whole argument of, like, trolls who weren't with the devs who were even worse about that, until the devs themselves admitted it was a problem. Sorry, but the terrain in 4 is not nearly as good as this. Age of Wonders has some really beautiful terrain on the higher graphic settings. I do like that. Anyways, let's get a battle going. I was just trying to figure out...
wait for sales with Civ 6. It's really expensive otherwise, but sometimes the whole anthology pack will be like $30, which is all the DLCs in the game. But it's not that common.
$30 is way outside my budget range.
Damn.
Mass Curse. I'll wait. The base game was enough money. I want to say it must have been $40, $50 back in the day. This is before I got on COVID. If I remember correctly, or maybe relatively soon after, when staying with family, money wasn't as tight. For the DLCs, I $15 is like my upper limit for the DLCs. I already paid handsomely for some of them. They've got enough money out of me. They don't need to get like $100.
It's a personalized bundle, so I don't know how much it would cost if you already own part of it.
Probably not that much less. I only own like 3 DLCs, and they were each like $5. So they've got like, I want to say $60 out of me already. They don't need to get almost $100 out of me for that game. That's excessive. Games have become too expensive. People need to just basically not boycott the studios, but refuse to buy stuff until the prices come down. Force the studios down. It's just way too much. Say, there's a mass curse in this map. That's going to be lovely. Got to clear this destruction node near the orcs. That's definitely got to be thematic. Orcs and destruction, Yeah. The orcs aren't like undeveloped, inherently corrupt the way the goblins are implied to be. Although they can still be good if they have the right leaders, but they do tend towards destructiveness. That's why they dislike blighted terrain instead of heat it like most races. And the goblins don't even care about blight.
Yeah.
But, in the main campaign, there's a good goblin leader, so even goblins can be good. It's just as a racial tendency. I don't love that, It's a question of racism and fantasy, but they take a more complicated approach. There are tendencies, but those tendencies can be overcome through culture, through, education and training and, tradition. Just because your biology makes you more violent doesn't mean you have to be violent, kind of thing. Okay, there's an orc berserker, halfling berserker, and an orc spearman. The orcs can throw javelins annoyingly, so they're not all melee. I have the ability to cast one spell. Bless, Last Stand, or Lion's Courage. Lion's Courage will really help. It's not melee strength only, it actually helps with ranged. Any kind of strength. Huh. Probably wouldn't help Black Bolts, but if I had a Longbowman.
He's fighting orcs.
Alright, let me pause this for a sec.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a good accent. I don't know if she caught this. I was saying that I may look at voice acting as something I could do that my long COVID really won't get in the way with, except for my coughing fits being slightly worse. And voice acting is all pre-recorded. It doesn't matter. If you have a coughing fit, you just throw out that recording. And they come rarely
Take
now.
Another take.
Yeah. But it's not an easy thing. I'm sure people hear me talk about this and they're like, you're arrogant. You think you can do it. You have what it takes. So much. I know it's... I know the casting points is junk the maskers. I know it's a lot of work. I know it's difficult. I just saying that I could do it in the sense that my disability won't make it substantially harder than it would be for a healthy person. It would be hard for a healthy person. I doubt the government will want to fund the retraining because they're assholes. When they say we'll fund job retraining, it's like, we'll help you get your GED so you can go work in fast food if you don't have it. It's like, thank you. I have a graduate degree. I'm highly intelligent. That would be under applying me, and because of long COVID, I can't do that kind of work anyways. Anything that's just like put in the hours and come home physically exhausted, I can't do, because anything that leaves you physically exhausted, I don't have the energy to do. I have to do some kind of mental work. It's the only thing I can do. And the go-to then is always, well, be a programmer. I can't. That way my brain works is affected in ways that make programming very difficult, and I was really bad at it before I got sick. It's just the go-to. It's always, oh, coal miners out of work? Go train in programming. It's like, what kind of shit is that? It's a system that's deeply doesn't give a shit and just has an easy excuse. And programmers, actually, a lot of like junior ones really don't make that good wages. So there's always the success stories of people who do, but a lot of them get paid shit. So, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of people out there applying for jobs.
It's not the, you know, home run even that they make it out to be, even for people who can do it. The whole just do programming is just because there's a lot of money to be made off of programmers for the billionaires. So they want more of them. The exploitation ratios in programming are very high. As high as the wage salaries sometimes are, they make bank off of a program, you know?
Yeah.
Because they only have to pay the people once. There's no ongoing cost. It's like, you know, you're building infrastructure that's going to keep making these people money for hundreds of years, potentially. No one thinks about that, but there's no reason we can't keep reusing the same kind of, like, I mean, things will get updated for new software, but it's easier to port an existing program, and eventually the operating systems will stop changing so much. There's no reason they should keep changing forever, except for like Microsoft intentionally making that way, and eventually some operating system will come along that doesn't change that much. And, you know, all the companies will use it for their corporate software, because then they can just get software that's like 100 years old. I'm not even exaggerating. People don't think of the long term anymore. They just assume that the things are always going to change rapidly, when history actually shows things tends to have periods of brief change, and we just went through one of those periods, and then they tend to not change much for really long periods of time. And that's the phase of history we're in, is we're entering a period of... It's so funny, because I've been reading these Isaac Asimov novels, right?
Yeah.
And you get this tendency of, like, the year is 2240, and, like, we have colonies all around the solar system. It's like, nope. These authors just completely misunderstanding how slow change usually is throughout most of human history. These things
You don't think
were not
200 years from now we'll have a colony on Mars or something?
200 years from now. Yeah, probably. But 40 years from now, no. 40
Oh,
years.
2040. Sorry.
Yes.
I,
Yes, like
I
15 years from the present year. And like
yeah.
not a tiny like little outpost, which could be possible if you really put money into it, like a huge,
Yeah.
million person colony. That's not going to happen in 15 years. It's absolutely
Oh
not.
yeah. I see. Yeah, 2040.
This tendency to wildly
Yeah.
overestimate the possibilities is
Mhm.
it's bull, honestly.
We'll be lucky if we even have a single moon base in 2040.
Yeah. That's because of frickin' Mars isn't actually that much harder than the moon. People make it out to
No?
be. This is why it helps to be a space nerd. People make it out to me, but it's really stupid. The arguments are what's closer, so you can, if you get emergency, you can get back to Earth. It's like it takes 2 weeks to return from the moon, mother effer. 2 weeks.
How long does it
If
take to
you
get
if you have a
from
serious emergency, like your
Yeah.
oxygen doesn't work, you're gonna be dead long before you get back to Earth from the moon.
How long does it take to
It's
get to Mars?
uh, try like 6 to 9 months. It doesn't
Ooh.
matter. Either one of them is far
Still,
enough
yeah.
away from Earth that you can't get back to Earth in a hurry. It's not like a drive down the
Yeah.
street, and it never will be. The
Mhm.
Mars has the advantage of an atmosphere, which makes it much, 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 much easier to land on. In
Yeah.
terms of you can break through the atmosphere and you can have like some degree of parachutes. Um, and there's bouncy ball things for landing. Like they've done rovers
Yeah.
this way, which work a little better because
Litho-braking.
they're less likely to explode because there's no external pressure on the moon. you know,
Yeah.
you don't have to inflate them under that much pressure. But there's a lot of um, advantages of Mars: more resources, the fact there's more water, the fact that's further from the sun, so the radiation is less intense. It's
Oh yeah.
people point to the comms difficulty. It's like, so what? You set up communication satellites the distance. You're not going to be robotically operating everything. That's just like, I mean, rovers, sure. But if you're doing a manned mission, you're going to operate things from local control points, period, for, not having lag.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You can even, if you play Kerbal Space Program, you can even do what I'm talking about with local control points. You don't need to operate something from the Earth equivalent Kerbin. You're like putting a rover, a little probe, and you have a manned mission in orbit of Mars, the Duna. You can do a local control point. You're probably not going to be. It doesn't make any sense. You don't actually deal with comms difficultly unless you play with certain mods, but it doesn't make sense to mess with the long distance communications and the heavy antennas that can transmit that far anyways. Just from a weight perspective, you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Mars is in many ways not is far more cost effective than a moon base. A moon base is just it's precisely because it's cost ineffective that like the defense contractors, because don't forget they're the ones who want to build the space technology, right? It's like Boeing. They're the ones who would build the proposed lunar vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, don't think I haven't noticed that. These are defense contractors. They want to spend as much money as possible on these giant cost plus contracts. They don't want what's cost effective. Hmm.
I guess Nadia.
Do a death ray. Ooh. The orcs are kind of resistant to blight, you would think. Guess that doesn't matter because they have low resistance, period. Orcs. Wait, they have an orc spearman? I thought this was a berserker.
They got one of each, I think.
Yeah, and a halfling. I thought there were 3 berserkers. There's just 2. That's even easier. Anyways, my Necromancer can cast a Death Ray on the nearest Orc Berserker or the Halfling. But I guess Orcs have low resistance to magic. So, yeah, let's do Death Ray. I don't have the casting points in my leader for this kind of nonsense. But this hero had a few to spare. We certainly have the mana, so boom. Shoot, maybe I should have waited a turn just to buy time in case they sit there before I cast Death Ray. Sure, it's fine. I'll advance that far if they sit there and do nothing. Okay, they're not sitting. Once you attack them, they usually don't sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
Like
Even
once
if
you
it's
do,
with a spell?
yeah, even if it's with a spell, all you usually have to do is 1 point of damage and they'll advance. They get like enraged.
Yeah.
The Orc Berserker didn't use its War Cry. Interesting. And it got hit twice by this Sun Guard, because first strike, full arm. Nice. Just murder it with the hero. 3, 3, 3. So that's like 9 plus 4. Yeah. Just kill it with a black bolts. Very easy. Okay, I'm going to cut this video and see if the audio is good.